Hey YouTube, welcome back. So today's video, 6-month review, as you see there in the title. I'm currently sitting here in Meadowview, Virginia. I got a reset in this weekend, and then I'm picking up some stuff tomorrow and heading down to Texas, so I'm excited about that. But today's video all about my 6 months here at Melton. I'm currently about 8 months in, roughly. I'm gonna give you the good, bad, and ugly, just like I try to always do. Again, I'm just gonna give you my raw opinions on things. And so it's gonna follow pretty much the same format as my 30-day and 90-day review videos. But I'm gonna give you my review and what my thoughts are about Melton first, and then we'll jump into the pay. All right, so if you're just like, hey, screw it, I don't care what this guy says, I want to know how much money I can make, then you'll skip ahead in the video. But let's get it, baby. Here's a few things. All right, would I recommend Melton to other drivers? If you're fresh out of CDL school, you have zero experience, and you're interested in flatbedding, 100% I would recommend Melton to you. 100%. It's a great training company. It's a great company to get your foot into the door and get that experience that you need. You're going to drive pretty good equipment. I personally love my truck. It's honestly one of the reasons I have not left Melton. Is I love the equipment I have. Not to say like, yeah, my truck broke down a few weeks ago. It's a work truck. At the end of the day, things are going to break, right? You have to understand that. Yes, it's our home, and yes, it's kind of a nuisance when things like that happen. But these are work trucks, all right? Things are going to break on them, even with preventive maintenance, all right? So, anywho, I would 100% recommend Melton for any new driver out there wanting to get into flatbed. Okay, now with that being said, if you come in and you have 3 years of experience under your belt and you're like, I want to try flatbed, and this is a hard point for me to make because I am new. I personally have not experienced the kind of higher tier pay scale yet, but I see it on paper, and Melton has been true to their word up until this point. I have zero reason to doubt this. And I don't know off the top of my head. So let's just say you have 1 year of experience, right? And you come into Melton. I think, again, please double check this, but I believe you start at 60 cents a mile. So with that being said, do your research out there. If you're an experienced driver and you're thinking about flatbed, do your due diligence and go out there and do your research. All right, because if you're strictly wanting the best cents per mile out there, Melton's not going to cover that for you. All right. So, do your research. New drivers, though, 100%. Melton's been an awesome company to get my foot in the door. They give me great equipment to drive. I have a fantastic DM. And so, again, this is a very subjective industry. And not every niche is going to suit you, right? For me, I enjoy flatbed. I really do. So anyway, that's that point. So that's my recommendation. Whether you're a new driver, which is I'd 100% recommend it, Melton to you, or if you're an experienced driver, I would not recommend it to you, or I would at the very least recommend doing your due diligence and then choosing what's best for you. All right. So for me personally, my last 6 months, it definitely hasn't been perfect, but I have been, for the most part, happy. I know my last video wasn't real happy about my current situation. All right, if I had to break it down, currently as I sit today, with everything that's going on in the last roughly 7 months, I would say I am 90% happy and on board, 10% like, nah, I'm not feeling it, right? And that 10%, because that 10% for me is notoriously being stuck up to the Northeast. It's not just me, it's other drivers. And again, you're like, well, Kep, that's OTR, and if that's where the freight is, that's where you're going. Which, hey, I understand that, and that's rational. It's logical, right? But that for me bids the question as well, is OTR for me? And again, that's not necessarily a Melton specific thing. It's just a subjective thing. So, and that's something I'll look into and debate on once I get my year of experience. Because once you get that year, some doors start opening up, and so I'll deal with that when that time comes. But for the next 5 months, I'm just going to put my head down and deal with whatever it is they give me. And if for whatever reason it just becomes too much, well, fortunately I'm in the position I'm in, and I'll just be like, you know what, it's been fun, but this is no longer beneficial for me. So here's my notice of resignation. I'll go home for the holidays, take a month, 2 off, and then January rolls around, I'll go find another job. Even though the freight market is down right now, you can go to job boards and there's a plethora of openings. You just got to find what fits you. But that's the 10%. All right, 90% of this, my last 7 months they've been great. One of the reasons I haven't left is I drive very well maintained and very just equipment I enjoy. I drive a Freightliner. Some people crap on Freightliner. I love this truck. It's literally one of the reasons I have not left yet. Is because I enjoy this truck, and I fear what I may jump into at a different company. Melton provides very, very good equipment to their drivers. Now, with that being said, things break. These are work trucks. Yes, they're our home, but these are work trucks, all right? So please keep that in mind. I was talking to a driver the other day, and he was raving on and on. I can't believe I broke down, blah, blah, blah. I was in the shop for 2 weeks, blah, blah. His truck broke down. All right, something related to his fuel system. I don't know off the top of my head. The piece he needed to fix his truck was on a back order. All right, Melton can't wave a magic wand and fix back order issues. All right, like, I understand it's frustrating. All right, I was broke down for 5 days. All right, but I was trying to tell this guy, like, look, man, this isn't a Melton problem. Like, you could have broke down, put any company's name on the side of that truck, had the same whatever thing went out, and you're going to be sitting for, unless they magically have it in their shop, right? Or some just extenuating circumstance. But you put any other company's name on that truck, guess what, buddy? You're going to be sitting for 2 weeks because you just can't, it's a back order. Like, it's just not available. So, I love what I drive. Freight's slowing down, and all I have known in my trucking career is hot freight. Boom, 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 not sitting a whole lot. We're moving, we're scooting, right? And so having to adjust to what other drivers are saying, hey, this is kind of normal freight lines pre-COVID, that's an adjustment, right? If all I've known is hot freight, and I'm starting to see freight, going down, I'm sitting here and there, okay, I'm getting a little, what is this? What's going on? But, you look around, a lot of companies are dealing with the same thing, right? So, but yeah, I've been very happy here at Melton. I can go here and there and talk about this or that, but overall, 90% of my time here has been great. I've enjoyed it. It's been a very big learning curve this first year in. It's been a very big learning curve. But overall, I'm happy with it. I don't regret my decision at all to come to Melton. I would still recommend this to other new drivers. And so that's what it is, you know. So anyway, that's kind of my take. I'm trying to keep this somewhat short. It's going to be a lengthy video. So again, if you have any questions regarding Melton, drop a comment. I'll try to answer them the best that I can. But anywho, I'm gonna break down my pay. If you've been around the videos, y'all kind of know the format I do. Put a little screenshot up and I just voice over it. And so I'm gonna kind of breeze through some of it. I took a lot of home time during these last 3 months. I think my first 3 months I took 9 days total. The last 3 months I've taken 19 days. So, you know, you're gonna see some of these weeks and some of the figures may not be as much as they were in the first 3 months. Look, I just came off home time Monday and I took 2 whole weeks off, right? The last 2 whole weeks of not getting paid, you know, so just keep that in mind when you're looking at these videos. But anyway, let's get to it. Alrighty, so here we go. Here's August of 2022. 4 weeks that week. I had my first week there, had 3 loads, 23 miles, had 1 stop on one of the loads for $25. Home time did not affect this week. I grossed 907 and I brought home 953. If you're new to the page, the pet deposit. So the deductions portion are deductions that are in particular to me in my situation. Everybody's going to have standard deductions, right? But not everybody will have a pet deposit, if that makes any sense. So that's why I put the pet deposit there, is because that's specific to me. Otherwise, it's just your standard deductions, right? So again, that second week, 3 loads, 13 miles. Looks like I had a stop of, I had a tarp load it was a multi-stop tarp load. And so I get an additional money for having to retarp that load on the multi-stop. So I was heading home that week. I grossed about $1,050 and brought home about $1,050. So that next week, no loads. I was home that week. I actually sold my house that week. But you see there, you're like, Kep, how'd you gross money if you didn't work? Well, what Melton does is they advance your deductions, right? So right there, $59.19 were my deductions for that week, right? So they forwarded me that $60 and then took that $60 away, if that makes sense, right? And so for that 4th week there, if you notice, I had 3 loads for almost 2,600 miles. I had $1,200 in additional pay. Basically, I had 2 tarp loads. I forgot to write. I had 2 tarp loads, and I got my last bonus that week. I was leaving home time, so I was coming off home time. I grossed at $21.86 and I brought home $18.15. And in the deductions there, you see my pet deposit and then that $59.19. So they took away, right, what they advanced me, right, if that makes sense. So, and if you're like, Kep, how the hell did you bring home way less than you grossed? Well, those bonuses that you get, they get taxed immensely, right? So obviously, you're not going to bring home as much, even though you may. I mean, I had 2,500 miles that week, right? So pretty decent miles, but because of that bonus was on there, it's just like, oh, they just taxed the hell out of it, right? So you got to think, $25.95, let's say that's $2,600. So 50% of that is $1,300, right? You can do the math. It's nice to get that bonus, but on weeks you have decent miles, it kind of sucks getting that bonus. I much rather would have gotten the bonus the week before when I had no miles. But anywho, that's August for you. All right, so you see there I had 9 loads for a little over 7,200 miles that week, or for that month. I grossed $4,200 for the month, and I brought home $3,817 for the what is this, August? Yeah. Alrighty, so here is September. All right, and at the top you see 52, 53. So that blue week right there, that is when my pay jumped up to 53 cents a mile. It is also conveniently the week I broke down. Anyway, so that week First week there, 2 loads, 2,500 miles. I had a tarp, it was stop pay, and then a holiday pay. Holiday, I think you get $30 for working a holiday. Home time did not affect this week. Grossed basically $1,111, and I brought home basically the same. Right, you see there. So there is something to point out. The right hand side there. So the first 2 weeks, my pet deposit hit, and then I had fulfilled my pet deposit. I believe it's $750. And so you notice that deduction is no longer valid. So for the remaining of these videos, that pet deposit will not be on there anymore. And it's just your standard deductions that everybody kind of gets. The only thing that really is going to change is, your health insurance may be different than mine. I don't get health insurance taken out. I get my health insurance through the VA. 401k, there's some differences in your deductions, so that'll be specific to you. The only reason I added pet deposit was because that is a very specific thing to me that will not affect everybody. Anyway, next week there, I had 1 load for 710 miles. I got repowered because I was going home. I grossed $294, and I brought home $275. So again, I was going home. I had a guy's trip that weekend. I had to get home for buddy flew in from Canada, and it was an awesome weekend. Had a blast. Just overall super nice weekend there. Anyway, I think it was 5 days off for that weekend. The third week, right, coming off of home time, I had 2 loads, really good week, 3,000 miles. I was, like I said, coming off home time there. I grossed 1153 and brought home 1254 for that week. Again, pet deposit is no longer a thing. So that next week, I had 1 load, took it up to Maine, 1,578 miles. I had $300 in breakdown pay. Again, I broke down, sensor went out in my truck that week. Melton put me up in a hotel. Everything was, it ended up being fine. I was there for 5 days, 4 days. I dropped on a Thursday, went to go pick up a load Friday. Truck broke down that Friday. Didn't get my truck back until Tuesday. So, all right. So September, 6 loads, 7,800 miles. I grossed $34.75, and then I brought home $35.40 that month. So again, kind of a slower month. Again, I had 5 days home time this month, and I broke down. So, things happen, but overall, this wasn't a terrible month. Alrighty, so now we're in October. Again, 53 cents a mile. Week 1 had 1 load for $1,150 miles, roughly $200 extra pay. Had a tarp and layover pay. Home time did not affect this week. I grossed $650 and I netted $636. So week 2, I remember this week. 3 loads, 2,100 miles, $335 in extra pay. I had 3 tarped loads that week, and those wore me out, man. I tell you what. It's just like how they fell. Monday I had to untarp, retarp Monday, untarp Tuesday morning, retarp Tuesday, and then untarp Thursday morning, retarp Friday. So that was a big one. We grossed $1,171 and brought home $1,140. That third week, 2 loads, almost 3,000 miles, $375 extra pay. So I got $375. I had 1 tarp, a layover, and then I cashed in Road Warrior days. And long story short, Road Warrior days are if you stay out 3 weeks or longer, Melton will either give you an extra day of home time or $200. So I cashed out some of my Road Warrior pay on that week. Let's see. Home time did not affect this. I grossed $21.40 that week and brought home $18.85. The next week there, 4 loads, 1,900 miles, a couple tarps, and I got repowered because I was going home that week. Grossed $10.41 and brought home $10.23. So again, that next week I was home all week. And again, the deductions there was $21.89. That's what I got advanced. So I'm actually going to have this 2 weeks of basically, I took 2 weeks of home time, and those will be deducted on this coming Friday's check. Anyway, so there it is, grossed $5,026 for the month, and I brought home $46.88. Again, that's with taking a whole week off. However, there were 5 weeks in October. Alrighty, so the last 3-month average there, again, 7 days of home time in August, 5 in September, 7 in October. So for August, I had 9 loads total, 7,231 miles. My average load was 803 miles. I grossed 4,201 for the month, took home 3817, and my weekly bring home for August on average was $954. For September, 6 loads, 7,839 miles. My average miles per load was 1,306. I grossed 3,474 and brought home 3,537. And my average weekly bring home $884. So again, September, remember, I was broke down for 5 days and I went home for 5 days. So October, again, went home for 7 days, had 10 loads, 8,100, almost 8,200 miles. My average length of my load, or my average loaded miles were 819 miles, 5,026 gross, 46.88 bring home, and I averaged bringing home 1172 for the month of October. So in total for the last 3 months, 25 loads, 23,262 miles. The average length of my load was 930 miles. I grossed $12,700, and I brought home just a little over $12,000, with my average weekly bring home of 1,003 doll hairs. So there at the bottom, you can see I took 19 days of home time. My average weekly bring home for those 3 months were $1,003.65, and I have driven a whopping 56,289 miles in these 6 months here. So on track to hit over 100,000 my first year. We'll see what happens. Winter's probably going to slow me down a little bit, but who knows. All right, so my last slide here are my 6 month all put together, right? So we have May. Again, I got my truck April 22nd, so I started counting in May. So May, June, July, August, September, October. Again, the last 3 months we literally just went over them. The first 3 months there, just a quick recap. May, I grossed 5,528 miles, or $5,528. I netted $5,538, brought home $5,538. My weekly bring home for May was $1,384. For June, I grossed $3,930. I netted $3,721 with the average weekly bring home of $930. In July, I took no time off in July. I had 13 loads, 13,000 miles, grossed $6,700, brought home $6,453 for an average weekly bring home of $1,290 for July. So again, July didn't go home. It's the only month I haven't gone home yet since being out here on the road. And clearly that's been my best month. Right there, my least productive month looks like it's going to be, what is that? September, with my, and I'm going off weekly, average weekly bring home, because for me that's most important. What am I getting paid this Friday, right? What's hitting my bank account? So the most it's been, I guess technically is May. It was $1,384, but July was pretty good at just under $1,300. But September's been my worst month at $884. Again, I went home for 5 days that month. and I was broke down for 5 days. So, that's going to obviously take a big toll there. But on average, or in total, I've had 52 loads, 53,750 miles. My average load is 1,033 miles. I have grossed 28,893. I brought home 27,757. I'm averaging $1,110 bring home every week. So there's all the numbers right there, boys and girls. Alrighty, so there it is. There's literally my pay. I took all those numbers directly from my pay stub. And so the only thing that's really missing there is for the month of March, all my training pay, out with the trainer, what I made during orientation. None of that's on there just because I don't think it's very relevant. If you're curious to see what I made in my first month here with my trainer, orientation, etc., just let me know. I'll make a quick video on it. But overall, 6 months, bringing home right at 30 grand, roughly. So I'm on track to bring home 60 grand this year. That's not bad. That's a decent living there. Is it worth all the hustle bustle struggles of OTR? I'm not sure yet, honestly. And again, I'm not in this for money necessarily. I'm really not in it for money at all. However, I have that meter, right? The more BS I tolerate, the more I better be making, right? So you got to think, you can make 60 grand a year, 25 bucks an hour, right? Working for maybe get some OT in every now and then, and you'll clear 60. So, and that's being home every day. That's being able to go to the lake on the weekends. So for me, it's going to be more of a personal decision. I don't think it's necessarily going to be anything regarding Melton specifically. I think my issues mainly coincide with OTR, and if this life is going to be for me. I love to travel, I do. However, I think I may be better suited if maybe I just get somewhere with weekends off and I can take weekend trips, or maybe just find somewhere where I'm home every day and I can build up vacation days and just take my vacation. There's so much that there's to ponder, and again, everything is very subjective. But from a Melton 6-month review, there's all my pay. I'm happy with it. I'm content with it. Those are my numbers. That's how I run. Again, I've gone home a ton. I've only had 1 month where I didn't go home, and I made pretty good money that month. I think I almost brought home 6 grand, or just 5,500 somewhere. I made pretty good money that month. However, that's me. You might be different, but from a Melton driver standpoint, I'm very happy with the company. I'm very happy with the equipment I drive. I'm very happy with the communication that I have between me, my DM, and other higher ups within the company. So the only issue I've had is them just kind of keeping me up towards the Northeast. They'll send me out, then they'll send me right back. So that's been my biggest issue. And again, that's not necessarily Melton specific. It's more of a me maybe not being meant for OTR. But stay tuned. Who knows? I'm going to try to stick this out for my full year. We'll see what happens. I do miss being out on the lake on the weekends. So we'll see. Anyway, I hope this was informative. I hope this, gave you what you wanted when you clicked on the link, if you stuck it out. I appreciate your time. It's great meeting some of y'all out here. Y'all be safe this winter. Stay warm. If you ever see me out here, holler at me. Until then, y'all take care.